the man of the hour, the greatest Minnesota Twins ever, number 34, Kirby Puckett!
Stood in front of a packed house in Yankee Stadium. And I think I heard him say that he thought he was the luckiest man in the world to be standing here. I'm just here to tell Lou Gehrig, Iron Horse, that tonight, Kirby Puckett is the luckiest man in the world.
On September 7, 1996, more than 50,000 adoring fans filled the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis to say goodbye to one of the most beloved figures in baseball history, Kirby Puckett. Hi, I'm Bob Costas, and for 12 years, Kirby Puckett amazed and entertained everyone who saw him play with his undeniable skill and unrelenting hustle. But as rare as Kirby's talents as a player were, rarer still was his approach to the game and to life. Whether he was on a tear or in the midst of a very rare slump, there was always that infectious smile and that boisterous laugh. We've long since learned there's no necessary connection between the qualities that make a great athlete and those that make an admirable person. But Kirby stands out as a refreshing reminder that sometimes the best players can be the best people. In this program, we'll look back on the life of this man, the Puck, relive some of his incredible highlights, see some rare footage, and hear from some of his friends and peers, as well as from Kirby himself. At a time when the whole idea of hero seems passé, this is the story of a true hero, a man whose achievements thrilled us, whose laughter brightened us, whose grace in the face of adversity inspired us. This is the story of Kirby Puckett.
If you see Kirby Puckett, really he don't look like a ball player. He looked like a roly-poly, little big fat guy, but hey, he can hit the ball hard, he have a great arm, he can field and run and do everything.
Here was this little guy comes off the bench, and I watched him walk up from the dugout to home plate, short, stocky, with a big smile on his face. And he gets a base hit, makes his turn at first base, comes back to the bag and with this big smile. "How you doing, Mr. Carew?" I looked at him and says, "I'm not Mr. Carew, I'm just Rod." And he said, "Oh no, you're Mr. Carew to me right now."
The team used to stay with their young players at the old Leamington Hotel, and I was working for Bob Short at the time, and they stayed over there. And Johnny Podres was our pitching coach, and he brought Puck over. And Pod sat down, he says, "Case, this guy's going to be one of the great players in the game." I says, "Pod, you still drinking or something, I didn't know. He said, "You got to help him." So that night when he came to bat the first time against Dave Steve, I did that Kirby Puckett thing. And he turned around, and I thought he was going to come back with the bat and split my head open back there in that hole, behind home plate. And said, "Case, that's the greatest. Never stop doing that. Keep it up, man."
I met Kirby in, I think it was 1986. And I was 20 years old at the time, and Kirby was 25. And I met him at actually a nightclub. And I guess we talked for about 15 minutes. And into our conversation, he, toward the end, he said he was going to marry me. Well, I don't even remember what we talked about.
He brought me over the side and said, you know, your dad helped me out, I'm going to help you out. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And he smiled. I was like, this doesn't normally happen in baseball.
My rookie year, I didn't know what to think. It was kind of crazy. I thought he was nuts. You know, laughing and being so loud and talking all the time and instigating and stirring up trouble with everybody and then backing his way out. You know, you could see it.
You don't find too many guys like a Kirby Puckett. Those kind of guys come every 20 or 30 years.
Now that you think back about everything about Kirby, the first thing that comes into my mind is that he never said anything. Now that's a complete turnaround where he don't ever shut up.
The first face I saw, the first guy in the clubhouse was Randy Bush. And I remember walking over to him going, nice to meet you, Mr. Bush. And I shook his hand, called him Mr. Bush, and I saw Hrbek, and I was like, wow, you know, how you doing, Mr. Hrbek? I called everybody Mr. How you doing, Mr. Gaetti? How you doing, Mr. Viola? I called everybody Mr. I mean, it was just respect. That's what it was. That's what you did. And they all took a liking to me right away. I mean, I did what rookies should do. It's kind of one of them things back in the days when I first started was that it's better to be seen and not heard. It's better to just be quiet. And that's what I did. I was quiet. I had my things to do, of course. I had to carry some bags here. I had to do some stuff here. But that was all part of it. I knew that once I got over it, if I was fortunate to stay up here all year, that I was going to do it to the next rookie. So it wouldn't be a problem, me just doing what I'm supposed to do. So I had lots of fun doing it, and these guys took a liking to me right away.
It became evident that the Twins finally had themselves some good pitching, but they were still sitting around and waiting for one special player. In the month of May, that player appeared. His name, Kirby Puckett. With Kirby as a catalyst, the Twins dashed off 6 consecutive wins.
I paid a few dues when I got here, 84 and 85. And it's no fun losing. And so we finally got it all together, went to spring training, we sat out, and we had a meeting with ourselves and said, you know what, we just gonna put it all on the table right here. We're gonna be around each other for 8 months out of the year, so you might as well learn to love each other, because this is what you're gonna get. And if you don't like me, tell me you don't like me, we'll fight about it, we'll get it out of the way, and we'll play baseball. And that was the closest knit group of guys I've ever been around.
Minnesota's offensive lineup.
Puckett, Kirby, center field.
Gaetti, Gary, third base.
Smalley, Roy, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, DH.
Berdansky, Tom, right field. I catch all the balls Kirby can't get to.
Hrbek, Kent, first base, biggest guy in the team and proud member of this group.
It was like a big family thing. I like, Kent Hrbek coming to the ballpark, Kirby Puckett coming to the ballpark, they're playing around, they teasing one another.
The Dome was the home of 2 particularly powerful figures, a pair of heroes who had no equal. Figures who emerged from the shadows of the Dome to rule with pride and awesome powers. These gladiators of baseball glory were no match for mere mortals. These men are the Dome Warriors.
Let's go!
These men of steel awed all those who knew of their ability.
Perhaps the most amazing part of Kirby Puckett's story is that we ever heard it at all. Consider where it began as the youngest of 9 children, growing up in a 14th-floor apartment in a housing project on the south side of Chicago.
Grew up in the projects with Robert Taylor Homes. I'm sure if you do your research in Chicago, that was one of the worst project buildings in Chicago as far as growing up. 16 stories high. We lived on the 14th floor. They had 2 elevators, so just figure this, you live on the 14th floor. Both elevators don't work. How are you gonna get upstairs? You gotta walk up the stairs. And there were several times as a kid growing up that the elevators didn't work, and my mom went grocery shopping, so you should have seen this assembly line we had with my brothers and my sisters. I'd go up a couple of flights, give it to the next one, and give it to the next one, and we got all the groceries up. That's how we had to do it. I mean, we had no other way to get them upstairs. My mother had certain rules, and you just abided by them. I mean, they were pretty simple. When she told you to do something, you did it. She didn't have to call you like 2 or 3 times. Like if I'm doing something, my mom calls me. As soon as I hear Kirby, I'm putting that, whatever I'm doing, it stops, and I have to go see what she wants. And that's the way it should be. And that's what I did. So I mean, one time, for instance, I was in, I think it was like 5th grade or something, and it was picture day. And you know, growing up as a kid, we didn't have a lot, but I mean, we weren't on welfare or anything like that. But we did all right. We managed. And she bought me a brand new suit, and it was picture day. And she said, "Can you do me a favor today? Just don't run today, okay? Promise, Mama, you won't run." And you know, that was hard to promise back then, but I promised, and I felt in my heart that for one day, for a couple hours, I wasn't going to run, because that's what I told Mama I wasn't going to do. And I got to, and sure enough, we had recess, and everybody's playing American Eagle, whatever. Everybody else is running, and I'm the only kid standing on the side. I'm thinking nobody else's parents told them not to run today. And so I said, I'll play. How would she know if I don't play anyway? And sure enough, just to go show you how things go, I tripped over somebody's foot. A brand new suit that I hadn't had for 24 hours had a big hole in the knee. And I knew that I was in big trouble. I mean, it was nothing I could possibly do. I was trying to think of all my options, what I could possibly do for someone to help me. I said, well, maybe if I can get in the house past my mom and get it to the closet, I'll never wear this suit again. Or if next time I wear it, I'll go, well, how did that happen? You know, it's like nobody else can fit my clothes or anything, but how can I possibly keep from getting the worst butt whooping you can possibly get? The suit was kind of a plaid type suit, so it's not like I could get something else and kind of cut it and tape it over it. I was in big trouble and I knew it. So anyway, I go walking in, and sure enough, my mama's washing dishes. I'm like walking in, "Hi, Mom, how you doing?" I go over and I give her a kiss, and I'm going to the room, and I got this book. I'm kind of trying to hide the hole, and she goes, "Kirby, let me see how you look, honey. How was your day today? Did you run today?" "No, I didn't run." And sure enough, she goes, "Well, let me see. Put the books down." I put the books down, and she looked, and there was a big hole over here. She goes, "You promised me you weren't going to run." I said, "Well, Mom, I know I said it, but I was the only kid sitting on the side, and I wanted to play." And she said, "But I told you not to run." And so that day was that might have been the worst day in the puck in my life. I mean, because I got in trouble. I mean, it hurt me so bad, because not only did I get a spanking, but I was on punishment for like 2 months. I mean, no baseball. I mean, that's the whole summer almost.
The Twins ended 1986, 20 games under 500, their 7th consecutive losing season. They seemed as unlikely as any team ever to be touched by destiny. But in 1987, the Twins brought magic to their fans everywhere.
A moment in the sun to savor for eternity, and a time that will one day live as an exclamation point in Minnesota folklore. But the overflow of emotions was just an inkling of the outcry that was yet to come.
On the way back, you know, they asked us on the plane if we would just stop by the Metrodome. There were 10 or 15,000 fans there that were going to welcome us home, and we were all excited and very pumped up, and so all the players, of course, said yes.
I remember riding back on the bus, and they kept updating us as to how many people were at the Dome. But by the time we got there, there were so many more people there, thousands more, that you walked in there and it was like a dream.
I mean, that was a time that I'll never forget. I mean, everybody was so happy. They kept telling us when we landed, there's 54,000 people in the Dome. We go, yeah, right. And so we got off, and we got a police escort from the airport, and we come here, and sure enough, we come in the tunnel, down the right field line over there, and there's 54,000 people here. And they got a stage all set up, and these people are just screaming. They didn't charge them anything to get in. They just came in. These people are going crazy because we've never won anything. So all of a sudden we win, and the people here just went totally ballistic. I mean, it was absolutely I mean, you had to be here in order to experience it. It's something I'll never forget.
At first glance, most people thought the Twins deserved to be the underdogs in the 1987 World Series. For almost every man on the team, this was a brand new experience. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Cardinals, under Whitey Herzog's leadership, were playing in the World Series for the third time in 6 years. Nobody seriously expected the Twins to win. Nobody maybe except the Twins themselves and a loyal group of fans in the upper Midwest who had become believers.
The thing that I remember most from the '87 season is that the way the people were screaming here, the fans, and the guys from St. Louis kept telling me, I can't hear. And I couldn't hear either. But and nobody could hear, actually. The fans were screaming like crazy. I mean, my ears actually rug, I'm telling you, for like a week.
The Twins scored 7 runs in the 4th inning of Game 1. Dan Gladden's grand slam completed the outburst and sent the sound meters to new territory. Game 2 the next night saw the Twins score 6 runs in the 4th inning. Bert Blyleven held the Cards at bay. Gary Gaetti and Tim Laudner added home runs in an 8-4 Twins triumph. Alas, there were no Homer Hankies in St. Louis. 3 straight losses put the Twins on the verge of seeing their magical season come to a disappointing end.
We never got nervous. We always maintained our composure, and we always believed we can win. And that's some things that a lot of teams don't have now. We had that killer instinct. We had you down. We stomped on you because we had been stomped on for so many years.
Kirby helped the Twins get off to a strong start in Game 6, singling in a run in his first at-bat. He'd finished the game with 4 hits and a walk, and he tied a World Series record by scoring 4 runs. One of them when Kent Hrbek hit a grand slam in the 6th to give the Twins breathing room in an 11-5 victory. Viola and Jeff Reardon held the Cardinals in check in Game 7. And when Gaetti threw to Hrbek for the final out in a 4-2 Twins victory, it set off a celebration the likes of which has seldom been seen.
I know our own little clique, little group of guys was really pretty proud of ourselves and happy for one another. And I can always remember Puck was in the middle of all of us.
5 of us went into the weight room and sat across from each other. You know, they're surrounded by mirrors because it's a weight room and you want to see your muscles and things, but we all sat on the floor and just looked at each other. I believe it was Hrbek and Puckett and Randy Bush and Gaetti, and we looked at each other and said, we're the best in the world.
I think when you look at one guy that really was the nucleus of that ball club is definitely Kirby Puckett, because in baseball, if you're strong up the middle and there's Kirby standing out in center field as almost the iron post out there, and that's what he did that year. And along with Tom Bernansky and Herbie and Gaetti and quality pitching at certain times, we ended up winning the World Series. And it was very, very exciting. And, you know, anytime you can rub that head of Kirby Puckett, there was a lot of luck in there.
And I told Kirby before this game, I said, we've got to come up with a little handshake. And so earlier that morning, we sat there and we practiced a little handshake. And I said, now you can't forget. I said, it's going to be exciting. I said, but we've got to remember that when I look at you and I say, give it to me, you remember the handshake. So that's why all those things took place at second base, and we did the little handshake and patted on the head.
The Metrodome wasn't big enough to hold the celebration this time. Upwards of 250,000 people lined the streets of the Twin Cities to cheer on the Twins in a wild celebration that concluded at the state capitol. As always, Kirby was the center of attention, this time due to his stylish headwear.
Graffiti in my brain right now. I ain't got time to think right now.
There's no such thing as diamonds or anything where I grew up. Actually, the buildings were so far from each other. And what you had to do in order to play baseball, you couldn't play baseball because the janitors didn't want you playing on the grass. So if you played on the grass, they'd report you and all that stuff, so you get in trouble. So we'd have to draw a square on the wall, either with like pick up a rock or something that turns into chalk and you draw a square on the wall. I'm sure you probably haven't seen, I haven't seen none of this in Minneapolis here since I've been living here in Minnesota, but you drew like a square on the wall, kind of like from below the knees to maybe face high. And that probably explains why I didn't have a strike zone when I played in the major leagues. That probably explains it, but and the box was so wide, and if you threw a ball in that box, it was a strike. And that's the way I grew up playing, and we had certain rules that the buildings were so far apart, if you hit the building on the fly, it was a home run. Up to like the second floor and up, if you hit a home, that was a home run. If you hit like this Lower than that, it was a triple. If it one-hopped the building, it was a double. You know, so we had certain rules, and if it was a grounder, I mean, I could play with you just one-on-one, and we didn't need any other fielders. It was just you and I. Scouts didn't come in my neighborhood and scout you when I was a kid, when I was in high school. They didn't come because Calumet High School was so bad. If a scout would have came in, he wouldn't have got out. They were having like a little camp or something, the Kansas City Royals were, and I went to the tryout, and everybody was saying, you're gonna go, and it's like thousands of kids here. I said, all right, I'll go. And I did better than everybody there, and the Kansas City Royals scout, Art Stewart, he's probably still kicking himself for that. Him and I really, we've known each other for a long time. He said, Kirby, I think you're good enough to play, but you're little to play third base. You'll never make it. You're too little. You gotta hit home runs. And I'm going, okay, Art. I said, but I know I'm better than everybody out here. And that's what I told him. And as the camp broke off that night, I'm walking to my buddy's car, and then Dewey Kelmer from Bradley University comes over, and he goes, can I talk to you for a minute, Kirby? I'm Dewey Kelmer from Bradley University, and I'm prepared to offer you a scholarship. You know, we checked your grades, and you had good SAT and ACT scores, and we want to offer you a full ride scholarship to Bradley University. I thought he was joking, first of all. I'm like, come on, this can't be real. And so I ran home. My buddy took me home, ran home and told my mom and dad, and they were elated because I wouldn't have got a chance to go to college. There's no way. I mean, I had offers to go like to Miami-Dade North, Miami-Dade South. My parents couldn't send me to Florida to go to school. They couldn't even send me to school in Chicago, you know, to pay for any schooling. So it was no way. So I mean, it was like a dream come true. I was at school for 2 weeks, and I got a call like 4 in the morning, my sister, and she said that my dad had died. And so I went home, and I told the baseball coach, I said, my dad died, and this is probably pretty hard on my mom. I don't know how long I'm gonna be gone. And he said, just take as much time as you need. And I think I stayed out of school for like about a month, over a month. Stayed home with my mom, because I was just thinking about, you know what, just staying at home, just get a job, just taking care of my mom. And she said, no, you're not. She said, I've invested too many bats, balls, gloves in you. You know, you're going back to school, and you're gonna make it.
On the morning of Saturday, August 29, 1987, the Twins were at County Stadium in Milwaukee, percentage points out of first place, having lost 9 of their previous 10 games. On the evening of Sunday, August 30th, the Twins were back on top of the standings with a lead they wouldn't lose, and Kirby Puckett had played the greatest 48 hours of baseball of his life. All Puck did in the Saturday game was go 4 for 5 with 2 home runs. A tough act to follow, it seemed that way, but Sunday started with an RBI single in the first, then a home run in the third, followed by a single, a double, another double. Then, with 2 out in the ninth, Kirby got one more chance to swing the bat, and the result, another home run, his 6th hit of the day. On top of all that, Kirby also took a home run away from Robin Yount with the bases loaded in the 6th. Those 2 games in Milwaukee produced 10 hits and 11 at-bats, 4 of them home runs, and no one who saw it is ever likely to forget it.
I remember Gagne struck out for the 3rd out. The ball got past the catcher. The pitch was so bad, Gag swung, which sometimes he did, and the ball gets by, and he makes it to first, and allowed Puckett to come up again and hit the ball over the fence for the 6th run, for the 6th hit. You know, and he just shook your head, you know, and say, "There's a remark. How does this happen?" Gagne strikes out. The ball goes by the catcher. He's got no business even getting up, and here he gets up and hits it over the fence. You know, I mean, come on. That don't happen to normal people.
Some days I come to the ballpark, I felt invincible as a player. I mean, I knew that, like I'd announce to my teammates, we'd be playing the game and it'd be extra innings and they'd be tied up. And I'd make an announcement, I'd be like the 4th guy hitting, and I'd say, you know what, if such and such get on base, if Nobby get on base this inning and he's in scoring position when I comes up, the game is over. I've done that numerous times. I said, the game is over. Nobby get on second, I hit a base hit, game is over. I mean, I've done that a lot because that's the way I felt, because I knew that pitcher who was pitching, I had the edge over him, because he knew that I felt if I was facing this guy, I was gonna get a hit off this guy. If I was facing this guy 10 times, I'm gonna get 6 hits off this guy. And that's the way I felt. It was called the edge. And once you lose the edge in anything, in life or whatever, I mean, I'd go out and I'd laugh and I'd smile with people, but once the game started, they knew I was all business. Because I knew that when I stepped in the batter's box, that this certain pitcher, he didn't fear me. I don't think he might have feared me a little bit, but just that little bit just gave me the edge over him. And he didn't want to make that mistake, because he knew if he made that mistake, I wouldn't miss.
Numbers can tell some of the story of Kirby Puckett, the baseball player. Numbers like 2,304 career hits, a .318 batting average, 207 home runs. 1,085 runs batted in, 10 straight All-Star Game appearances, 6 Gold Gloves, 5 200-hit seasons. But there are no numbers that describe Kirby Puckett, the teammate, the clubhouse agitator, the prankster, the constant source of commotion and amusement.
Get the win! Optimum! Rex, look, Rex! My goal.
My second or third year, I came in and he said, you know, you just don't look like you're having much fun. You know, the object is to have some fun, laugh, joke, be you. Because right now, what I see is not you. And he's doing this as he's running off the field and I'm running on the field. So it's just a game, have some fun.
I'm going for it. This Kirby Puckett commentating. Big Hurt's up there now. He gonna let the first 3 go. 3-0. Then he gonna swing. 4. Then he walk. Then he walk.
Does he ever swing?
Yeah. He gonna swing at this one. He gonna swing at the second one either. Ball 1. Ball 1. Look at him. Time. Look. Time out. Time out. Look. Trying to get a walk, bro.
Uh-oh.
I tell you, 2-0. He ain't swinging. He ain't gonna swing it. Unless it's right down the middle, he ain't swinging. I tell you. One more ball. Let him walk once first. He gotta walk once first to get loose. Yeah! All right, here we go. Locked in. Here we go, Frank. Man on first. Here we go.
Back it goes. An upper decker.
I'm the little guy in this group. Man, you the kid. Man, I'm the little guy. Little guys don't hit 33 at the break.
Rep to right. This is a no-doubter. Griffey is on the board.
Yeah! Look at that.
Can he win it this year? Well, yes, he can. The home run derby winner, little guy Ken Griffey Jr.
Just a little guy, man. Just a little guy.
Good guy.
You know, it was my first All-Star game. It was Kirby probably 10th in a row, 10th in a row, 11th in a row. And this was the first year he struggled the first half. You know, it was interesting to see that because Kirby Puckett had never struggled. And coming into the locker room, listening to him going, oh man, they're counting me out, they're counting me out. I can't play anymore. They got me batting 7th today, 6th or 7th. I can't believe this. 10, 11 years, you know, he was at the locker room at like 1:30 and the game's at 8 o'clock that night and Kirby's already in the locker room preparing to play the game for the night. And he's like, I got something new for him today. I got something new for him today. And you know, he went out and won the MVP of the game.
The 1993 All-Star Game was played at Baltimore's Camden Yards, and Kirby would be the star of stars that night. He knocked in a run with a double.
Watches a line drive to left. Bonds won't get it. It's in the gap. It's a double for Puckett. But he was making his 8th appearance.
And hit his first All-Star Game home run off Terry Mulholland to become the first Minnesota player ever to win All-Star MVP honors.
After I left Bradley that year, before I went to Trayton, I got drafted in the first round by the Twins. And it happened so funny that I thought I was getting a little side of bad luck or something because the guy that came out and scouted me, that tried to sign me, his name was something Hall, and he was a guy that had retired as a scout from the Giants, and the Twins had signed him just in the area just in case they got anybody, so they signed me, and he comes and he tells me he wants to come to my house. He calls my mom and he comes into my neighborhood and he said, I want to take you out to dinner. The Twins are paying, so he takes us out for a steak dinner. And then my mom says, Mr. Hall, can you tell me what's the bottom line here? What do you want? And he said, well, the Twins want to sign your son. They want to give him $2,000. And my mom just started laughing. She just started cracking up, and I started laughing too. I said, $2,000? I can hustle pop bottles and make $2,000. And so then he said, well, I'll go back, and he came back with $3,000, and eventually $4,000 was their tops. And so I said, Mr. Hall, I said, you know, that's nice, but tell the Twins no. After I told Mr. Hall no, the next day, he had a heart attack and he died. It's a true story, so I felt bad. You know, I'm thinking that and my mom goes, there's no way. He had a bad history of bad heart problems and everything. And
the sound heard across the upper Midwest on December 4th, 1992 was the sound of millions of baseball fans breathing a sigh of relief. They'd held their breath since Kirby had become a free agent at the end of the season, hoping their hero would remain a Twin. But the brighter lights and bigger pocketbooks of bigger cities were no match for the special bond that Kirby had built with his fans and teammates over 9 years and 2 world championships. Kirby's talent and enthusiasm were rewarded by the Twins with a 5-year, $30 million contract, a far cry from the $600 a month he had earned in his first season as a minor leaguer.
And so I signed with the Twins in 1982, and they sent me to a luxurious Elizabeth in Tennessee to rookie ball, and had a great time there. You couldn't get into Piedmont Airlines was the only airlines that flew into Elizabeth in Tennessee. So I go to Tennessee for a year, and I win the batting title, and I'm thinking, well, I should move up the ladder here pretty quick, and I'm making $600 a month, and I'm going, man, I'm rich, you know. But I'm just so happy to just be playing baseball. It doesn't matter. We had no bats. We played with cracked bats. I mean, it was terrible in the minor leagues. We had when I tell you we had nothing, we had absolutely nothing. In spring training, we had to wash our own uniforms. I mean, it was terrible. You talking about guys don't have money to wash their own uniforms. I was one of the guys that didn't have any money. So what I did, the guys that did have a little money, they washed their uniforms. I wait till they left out of the washroom, and I throw my uniform in there with their clothes and get there before them, take it out, and then just hold it and sat it on there like I was first. And when they put their clothes in the dryer, I just stuck mine in the dryer with theirs. And when they got out early and just hung it up, I mean, so there's a plan that I had, and it worked. It worked for me. Thank God I never got caught.
Hey, Buck, what's in the bag?
Breakfast, double-egg McMuffin, hash browns.
I'll play you for it. The loser watches the winner eat.
Off 3 rails, through the bag, corner pocket with the bat.
What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
When Kirby began his 8-ball tournament up here in the Twin Cities for the Heart Fund, Children's Heart Fund, that's when our friendship really kind of took off, because we came up and we spent that time raising dollars together and doing things for young people, something that he was very committed to doing, and it was nice to help him out with that.
Tanya and Kirby have shared considerably with the community over the years, both in terms of time and money. Each year, they donate 30,000 Twins tickets to inner-city young people as part of the Because We Care program. And they've also started a college scholarship fund to help needy minority students attend the University of Minnesota.
Where's Melissa? Hi, Melissa, how are you? Sorry? Come on down and see me. How are you? Are you feeling okay? Oh, you shy?
Yeah.
Come on now, it's too late for that. Here we go.
Oh my God.
Oh, what's wrong, Mom? Hi. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's okay. How are you?
She's got a few things for you to sign.
Oh, you all right? You got a pen? You got a Sharpie?
I know he orders bats through Wiesner all the time, and I swung a pretty big bat. And he always wanted to swing a bigger bat than he swung. And he would order, I guess he swings like a 34.5, 32 ounce bat, 34.5 inch, 32 ounce bat. And he'd go to Wiesner and say, Weezy, order me some 35, 34s. And Weezy goes, you sure you want them, Puck? And Puck, yeah, Weezy, I'm gonna swing a bigger bat this year. And Weezy goes, okay, I'm gonna get you a dozen of them. If you don't like them, whatever. So Weezy would order these bats, and he would come up to me and he goes, dog, 35, 34, or whatever. And you look at Weezy, and I asked Weezy one day, I said, Weezy, these bats don't feel like 35, 34. What are they? He goes, they're the same bats he's been swinging all these years. I'm not gonna change now.
Everybody's different, but I said Kirby was like similar, little bit similar to me, because he not have a straight zone. You know, he swing anything close to the plate and hit it hard.
Puckett hits one to deep left on the first pitch, and Gibson watches it leave, so Kirby breaks loose.
I don't know how many at-bats he had, but I know 3/4 of them I was standing in the on-deck circle watching him hit, and I don't know how many times I'd walk up to the plate and the catcher would be sitting there shaking his head going, can't believe he hit that pitch, or, you know, how do you get this guy out?
If I was pitching, I'd throw 3 behind him, because he can't hit him.
There wasn't any way to pitch the guy, because if the ball was on the outer half, he'd drive it over the right field fence. If the ball was inside, he'd pull it with authority. And even if he got fooled and he topped the ball to the infield, he could run so well that he'd beat it out. So he really didn't have a weakness as a player.
Number 2000. And there it is.
That's a whole lot of hits, Dick. And so Cal Irmer was the AAA manager, and I'm sleeping in my room. It was about 1 o'clock at night, and we get this banging on the door, and Tag Wilson's my roommate. We're sitting here, and we're going, man, who's this? And we answered the door, and it was Cal, and he said, congratulations, kid. And I thought he was talking to Tag, and he goes, congratulations, Puck. I said, what? He said, you're going to the big show, kid. Congratulations. I said, come on, man, stop messing around. He said, no, I'm serious. The Twins called, and you go into the big leagues tomorrow morning. You know, you got to get up at 4, your flight leaves at 6 or whatever. And I didn't know what to say. I got on the phone right away and called my mom. You know, Mom, I'm going to the big leagues. And she called my sister because I couldn't afford to call nobody else. I had one call and that was it. And I called my mom and she pretty much told everybody else. And so I was excited.
The 1988 season stands as Kirby's best. His .356 batting average, 234 hits, and 121 RBIs would all be career highs. And in 1989, Kirby won the batting championship, a rare feat for a right-handed batter, as he hit .339. But if you think of any one year as Kirby's year, it's invariably 1991.
Well, 91 was a good year for us. We added Jack Morris and Chili Davis. We were close. We were last, but we weren't last where we was hopeless. It was last, yes, it was last.
The team had a new makeup after winning in 87. We won in 88, and then 89 was bad, and then 90 we came in last place. We were terrible. I mean, we always played hard, but I mean, a manager's only good as his horses, and we didn't have enough horses to pull a cart. So if you don't have any horses, you're not going to win many ball games.
The 1991 World Series was known as the worst-to-first series. Both the Twins and the Atlanta Braves would play for the championship after finishing in last place in their respective divisions the previous season. That had never happened before since the World Series began in 1903. But neither team was a fluke winner, and they would go on to put on a show that kept baseball fans on the edge of their seats until late in the night, night after night.
We did our usual. We won 2 games here in good fashion. Go to Atlanta, and I was so excited just to stand in center field and see people just do the chop. That was pretty exciting, man, to see all these people in unison just, oh, and they were good fans. They weren't like throwing stuff at us or anything like they do in the American League. I mean, they were nice fans. And they scream at you quite a bit, but I mean, that's in all stadiums. But the most fun about it is that we were leaving on the bus after we lost 3 in a row, and they were like shaking our bus. You know, we had to go through this tunnel, and they were like pushing the bus. So it was pretty exciting. I was like, man, these people are crazy.
Game 6 was Kirby Puckett day.
Puckett single-handedly won the game. Now, if somebody ever won a game single-handedly, that was it. Of course, we pitched pretty good. He didn't have nothing to do with that.
Coming to the field, or to the stadium that day before Game 6, I didn't have too good of a feeling. I thought we were, not that you think you're going to lose, but you know, when you win the first 2 games, go to Atlanta and lose 3, and then come home, you kind of have your back against the wall, and I didn't have that good of a feeling.
And so I come to the clubhouse and I said, well, it's kind of quiet. And I come out, what's wrong with y'all today? Somebody die or something? That's what I said. And the guys were just so nervous, I guess, and so uptight. I said, hey, there's about 20 some other teams would love to be in the position we're in right now. I said, even if we lose today, we were here. So you should be happy about this. And it's not over yet. We can still win. We can win. And so we go out, and I think that loosened them up a little bit. We go out and take batting practice. And for some reason that day, I felt super that day. I mean, I was hitting balls out in batting practice, right field, center field. I was hitting everything hard. I felt like I was just totally locked in after not doing much in Atlanta. I mean, because I didn't do much. I hit maybe a home run off Avery. But other than that, I didn't do too much. And people were saying that I was struggling in order for the Twins to win, and Puckett has to do this. And I was like, okay, well, I've heard this before. Don't worry about me. If I do it, I do it. If I don't, I don't. I wasn't scared to fail. I'm never scared to fail. And so I remember coming in after infield, and I used to always mess with my teammates, say, all right, guys, you guys jump on my back tonight. I'm going to carry us tonight. And when I said that, it was a whole different atmosphere in this clubhouse. Everybody started chirping. Everybody was like, all right, I guess it was a sigh of relief for them. Really like, well, I'm glad I don't have to do it or whatever. But I felt that day I was going to make a difference.
I knew for sure we were going to win after that. He was driving. Hopefully he was driving the next day, too.
He corks it to left center and chased by Puckett. He caught it! That fence is 13 feet high.
And it's plexiglass, and watch Kirby climb the plexiglass to rob Ron Gant of an extra base hit. Wow.
When Ronnie Gant hit it off Erickson, he hit it real high. And so I knew it didn't go, it wasn't like far out. If it was far out, I wouldn't have ran after it. But after running, I go, this ball's gonna stay in here. I'm thinking all this to myself in my mind. This ball's gonna stay in here. And I hear Danny, you all right, Puck, you all right? Feel for it, which means feel for the wall. Feel for it, right there, right there. And all I had to do was just pretty much just time my jump. I see it going up, and I see it's high, and I'm going, this is not going out. This ball isn't going, I can catch this ball. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. If I get back and get in position, I can catch it. As an outfielder, that's what you say on every ball, because you're trained. That's how they train you, is to catch everything you can catch. And so I'm thinking, I'm gonna catch this ball. If this ball don't go out, I'm gonna catch it. I'm gonna catch this ball. And I'm going back, and I got Danny hollering at me, you all right? And I said, all I gotta do is just time it just right. And when I time it and I go up and I catch it, Danny's arms are up and he's screaming, and I see Terry Pendleton is all the way around second base. He's in between second and third. I'm so excited. I try to throw it all the way on the fly, and at the last second, it kind of curves away from Herbie. But if I'd have just took my time and maybe just threw it, but I didn't have time. See, I'm so excited. When you get caught up in all the anticipation and everything that's happened, I mean, I made this catch, and if I catch it, I'm trying to do more. I'm not only trying to make the catch, I'm trying to make a double play out of it, you know. But I mean, it was a great play, and Danny was excited, and everybody was excited, but it's just all instinct. That's all it was. I mean, that's what I've been doing all my life, is playing on instincts, playing baseball. That's what baseball's all about, it's just instincts.
The game was tied after 9 innings and tied after 10. It was tied going into the bottom of the 11th. But that's when Kirby came to the plate to lead off against the Braves' new relief pitcher, Charlie Leibrandt, and created one of baseball's all-time most dramatic moments.
He didn't like facing guys that just, you know, try to take the sting out of your bat. We call them cunny thumbers. But, you know, they brought Charlie Leibrandt in the game to face him. We're on deck.
And so I'm standing on deck. I come up in the 10th, 11th, and whatever it is, off Charlie Leibrandt, and Chili and I are on deck. And I said, Chill, what do you think, man? I'm going to bunt off this guy.
And he looks at me. He goes, dog, I'm going to lay one down, dog. I'm going to lay a bunt down, and because I don't like to face these guys, man. This guy, he just change up after change up after change up, and you know, I can look bad on some change ups. And when I lay one down, you know, you can hit those change ups, dog. You go ahead and you just wail on them.
And it's a true story. And Chill goes, what? He goes, bunt. He goes, my bleep. I can't say the word, you know, but that's what he said.
And I was standing there, and I'm thinking, nah, you're not gonna bunt. So I looked at him and I said, Puck, do you think that this is like the perfect setup? Do you think that the people here want to see Chili Davis win this ball game, or do you think they want to see Kirby Puckett win this ball game? This is your team, man.
And I said, really? I said, well, what do you want me to do? He said, Puck, get a change up off this guy and hit it hard, man. Drill it somewhere, man. Hit it out of here.
I said, don't swing at anything low, because it's going to be lower when it gets to the plate. Get him to get a pitch up, and you hit that high stuff very well. Go ahead and just drive it.
And I looked at him like he was crazy. I said, all right. I said, I'm going to take a couple pitches first. And of course, I got to get the last word. So Chili started laughing because everybody knows Puck don't take pitches from nobody. You know, if it looks good to me, I'm swinging. Because the pitcher's job is to try to get ahead of me, and I want to be trying to get ahead of him at the same time. That's what I meant. I said, I'm going to take a couple pitches just to see. I've faced him several times over here with Kansas City over in the American League and get an outstanding changeup.
Lebrand pops a strike in there.
Remember the circle change from Charlie Lebrand, if you'll remember back to Game 1 of the World Series. And he's not about to go away from his strength right now.
One and one. There's Scott Erickson, who started this one. He pitched 6 and allowed all 3 Atlanta runs. So again, the bullpen of the Twins has reverted to form. There's Stingy. Two balls and a strike.
Then he throws a fastball, just try to get me off the plate, and I take it. It's 2-1. And so I turn around, look at Chill, and he's laughing because he can't believe I took these pitches. I probably can't believe it either.
Charlie Lebrand grips it. Index finger and the thumb touch, and they choke the ball. The hitter swings at the arm motion.
Into deep left center from Mitchell, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
And I hit it, and I was really running hard because I didn't think it was out. I thought maybe to hit off the plexiglass and take one of them crazy bounces. I think I'm gonna run hard anyway. Who knows? It can ricochet, and I'd have to really, you know, just keep hauling butt, man. And I hit it, and it just kept going and kept going, and then I saw Hunter go back, man, and all of a sudden it went out, man, and when people went hysterical. That's the first time I've ever ended a game with a home run in my career.
I don't know if he told me or someone else told me that he was hyperventilating running around the bases. Usually after a ball game, you don't hear the fans in the locker room. But it was so loud out there, we could hear them in the locker room. And I remember I looked at Puck and said, Puck, I can't stay in this locker room. I'm going back outside because that's what this is all about. And he goes, go ahead, dog. Go ahead. I can't go back out there. And I went out there, and I don't know, 5-10 minutes later, he comes walking out again, and that place went crazy when he came out there. That place went nuts. And I'll never forget that sound. That sound was the most powerful sound I've ever heard in a stadium. And it was a bigger roar than when we won Game 7.
There were more milestones to come for Kirby. In 1994, his 2000th career hit and his first RBI title. In 95, home run number 200 and his 1000th career RBI. But the 95 season ended prematurely. The final home game of the season, September 28th, as a pitch from Cleveland's Dennis Martinez hit Kirby flush in the face.
I've been playing baseball for 35 years. And that's the first time I've ever been hurt. And so I've never been on the disabled list or anything like that. I got hit in the face, and I even wanted to play the next day after I get hit in the face. Terry Ryan had to tell me I wasn't going to play. I thought they could just make me, even though I looked like the Elephant Man, it would have had to been a big helmet, but I wanted to play. And I got hit in the face, and they wouldn't let me play, and so I had to shut it down, and everybody was worried, are you going to be scared of the ball? And I said, well, I've been hit lots of times in my life. I said, that just happened to be the first time that I got hit in the face. I'm not scared. I mean, if I flinch from the ball, if I'm scared, then I can't play anyway. I feel great. And I'm hitting good behind Molly in spring training. I'm looking so forward to playing with Molly, you know. And Nobby, I'm thinking Nobby at the top of the lineup, and Becker and Molly. I mean, I might win the RBI title this year. That's what I'm thinking. I'm so far ahead of myself, but I'm thinking, man, if things go the way, I mean, I had no idea that things were going to go the way Molly's going right now, him and Nobby. I mean, but it was great. I was looking so forward to playing. Then March 28th, I come to spring training. We can really leave that day, go play the Colorado Rockies in Colorado. And I had this black spot in front of my eye, and I could see peripherally, but I couldn't see straight ahead. And so it was kind of weird, so I thought maybe I laid on my eye wrong or something. And then as I go on that day, I get to the park, and I'm always early, and I said, Dick, I said, I can't see you straight ahead. I said, but I can see your arms and everything. I just can't see your face in front of me. And so Doc McKenzie comes, and he takes me to the eye doctor, and they do all this and do all that. And I mean, because nothing's ever been wrong with me. And all of a sudden I turn 35 years old. I get hit in the face, and all of a sudden I can't see. I mean, I'm going, oh man, you know what's wrong? And so 3.5 months go by, and nobody. I got glaucoma, but nobody can tell me if I'm gonna be able to play again, if I'm not gonna be able to play again. So I was pretty much, when the day finally came, June 16th, for me to tell people that I wasn't gonna be able to play again. I was the most excited person that I know of, because for 3.5 months my life had been in total limbo. I'm not the kind of person that wants to hang on the fence. Either I want to know this way or this way. I don't want to hang on the fence and just be everybody's friend. I want to know one way or the other, just cut and dry. And so after I had my surgery on July 16th, and the doctor told me to come out, Dr. Glazer came out and said, Kirby, I'm sorry, I tried to get the blood, but it doesn't look like blood is getting through to your retina, so therefore you're not going to be able to play baseball anymore. Everybody else, my agent and Tanya and everybody just busts out crying. And I'm going, wow, thank you, Jesus. You know, finally, at least I know something. You know, because I didn't like, I mean, I can come to the ballpark, I can only shag so much, and I can only hit so much batting practice. I was hitting balls 400 feet in batting practice, but it's not the game. So actually coming and shagging and stretching and everything and having batting practice, that was my game now. And I'm not used to that kind of game. I'm used to coming to the ballpark, preparing myself to play, come put my uniform on, go downstairs, go get them. That's what I've been trained to do, and that's what I've done so well for 12 straight years. And all of a sudden to have it just to come to a halt and not know what's wrong, that really bothered me. And I just wanted to know. So finally when I found out, they said, well, what do you want to do? You want to wait until a couple of weeks? I said, no, I want to tell people right now. I said, I know it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to do, but I don't have a problem doing it.
It was just devastating. It was the worst day of my life, because I just saw everything, and I kept thinking of all these words like forever, never, no more, gone, the end. All I could do was just cry. I cried because at that moment I realized that it was over. You know, our life as it existed was over, and I realized I would never see him play baseball again, or never pick up a bat or run on that field, and it hits you just like a ton of bricks. And I remember Kirby's reaction. I remember when he made this announcement, and Kirby said to the doctor, he said, okay, I understand, thank you, I appreciate everything you've ever done for me, you did your best, and I thank you. And it was as if Kirby was comforting me. He was telling me it was okay. He comforted everyone in that room and just told them everything would be okay. I'm all right. And I remember since he has said, you know, don't worry about me. Kirby Puckett's going to be okay.
After learning the news, Kirby and Tanya immediately returned to Minnesota to make it public at an emotional Metrodome news conference that included all of Kirby's teammates and many former teammates. His impromptu remarks were a poignant combination of reflection, philosophy, and puckish humor, delivered without a trace of self-pity.
I've been a Minnesota Twin for this is my 13th year, and I'm proud to say that I've played with a lot of pride and a lot of class and integrity when I put the uniform on. I'd like to thank Carl Pohlad and Jerry Bell and everybody for giving me the opportunity to wear this uniform that I have on, just like Kent Hrbek, only one uniform. And I'm proud to say that I'm a Minnesota Twin. But I think that anybody who knows me, including my teammates, know that every time I put the uniform on, that I laugh and joke with the opposition, but when it was time to get it on, I got it on, and I gave it everything I had. But I just want to say that it's a tough day for me, because I can't sit here and lie to you and say that I'm not going to miss the game, because I am. I've missed it ever since March 28th, when I haven't been able to perform. Baseball's been a great part of my life. Ever since I was 5 years old, I'm 35 years old sitting in front of you now, and I played baseball ever since I've known for 30 years. It's been a great part of my life. It really has. But now it's time for me to close the chapter on this book in baseball and go on with part two of my life. It's going to be all right. Kirby Puckett's going to be all right. Don't worry about me. I can't say thanks enough to everybody that prayed for me. And I want to tell the little kids that prayed all the time that just because I can't see doesn't mean that God doesn't answer prayers. He answers prayers.
It was just like, it was like a member of the family. That something had happened, and you didn't want it to happen, but it was there, and all you could think about, one of the few times in my life that I felt tears coming down. You couldn't help but feel that way.
That was difficult. That was a very difficult week, I would say, to hide my feelings. You know, you're getting tore up inside, but you have to present yourself to the players that, hey, we got to put this behind us and we got to move forward and play. And I know it's going to be difficult, but we have to do that.
It was very hard to deal with. I remember sitting in that press conference and just walking in there and seeing Kirby with the patch after the surgery and the sunglasses, and just, you know, really didn't know what to do. I was worried about Tanya because you could see the devastation.
What are we going to do now? What's going to happen with us? What's going to happen with our lives? What is Kirby going to do? He's 35 years old. And how is this going to affect him? And although he continued to comfort everyone, even at the press conference, I just kept thinking, when he realizes what's happened, what's he going to do? And that scared me.
I don't think it's really sunk in all the way yet. You know, he didn't play all year, and I think the moment for me and a lot of people maybe when it's going to sink in is maybe next spring training, when he's not around.
I have so many people now, and they feel so sad for me. I said, don't feel sad. You know, there's no reason to feel sad. I got to play the game that I loved and enjoyed so much for 30 years, for 35 years actually, but as far as my recollection, since I was 5 years old, I'm 35 now. For 30 years, I got to experience what I wanted to do as a kid. How many people can say that?
You should have seen this place during 1987 World Series. It was unbelievable. And in 1991, when Kirby knocked that one out, I'll tell you something.
I wish I could have seen Kirby hit one out.
Foul ball.
Is anyone in there?
Looking for somebody?
Wow, Mr. Buckster.
Hey kid, you gotta watch those high pop-ups.
What are you doing here?
Looking to play some ball?
I thought you couldn't play anymore.
That's true, but I'll make one exception if you take it easy on me. Come on.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
Will you miss playing?
Yeah, I miss playing a lot. I mean, I had lots of good times when I played here, and they're memories that I wouldn't trade for anything.
You're the greatest.
Don't be sad, kid. I'll still be around. You know what I'm thinking? One of these will look good in downtown Minneapolis. I always wanted to do this. See you, kid. Hey, kid, get this to your dad.
You got it! You got the ball!
At Kirby's tribute, he called himself the luckiest person on earth. And who are we to argue with him? But he's not the only lucky one. Think about the hundreds of players who were his teammates over 12 seasons. How lucky they were to have his constant, noisy, effervescent presence. And think about the fans. How lucky all of us were to be able to watch him play the game at such a high level day in and day out. How lucky we were to be part of some of those great moments he created. How lucky we were to see someone so talented go about his job with such joy and enthusiasm. If one measure of a hero is the amount of happiness they create for others, then maybe you'd never find a bigger hero than Kirby Puckett.
Yes, it was bad. I didn't get to go out on my own terms. But I just thank God every day that when he gave me the opportunity to play, that every day I put this uniform on, I gave it everything I had. I left no stone unturned when I played. I don't look in the mirror. I've never looked in the mirror and said, I wish I'd have done this, I wish I'd have done that, because I didn't. I did everything I could have done and more. And I think that that's what keeps me going, is that when I had a chance to fulfill my dream, not only did I live it, I lived the hell out of it for 12 years. And I gave it everything I had.
Bye.